How to Do Atkins Low Carb. My name is Kent Altena, and today's episode is dedicated to my brother Tim, who was really the inspiration on why I started Atkins Diet in the first place. His 75-pound weight loss back in 2004 proved to me that it was indeed possible to lose weight. Died last week Wednesday after an 8-year-long battle with cancer, and really he was my inspiration. He set the bar. He was the ideal older brother. He set the bar high, and for his little brother to attempt to follow. Today's video comes out of a private message that I received and it goes as this. I'm a student and I want to do the Atkins diet, but I've been told that the brain needs sugar or carbs and will not work as well on ketosis or ketones. I'm afraid that being on Atkins will impede my ability to think clearly and do well in school. What are your thoughts on this? And it's difficult to reply to such a question without sounding like you're tooting your own horn, but in the last 5 years that I've been on Atkins, I've achieved some of the highest levels of IT certifications in the nation. I'm a network engineer or architect for a large insurance company in the United States. And I've also went to class and been certified as both a firefighter as well as an EMT. So if your brain doesn't function well in Atkins, at least I've been faking it well for the last 5 years. Certainly the critics will be quick to point out the low-carb emotional zombies or the Atkins anger that has been promoted by a couple MIT researchers. They prove that on anything but 100% carbohydrate diet, their serotonin levels are lower. And the serotonin contributes, in their view, to a feeling of well-being and positive thinking, optimism. But what they ignore is that usually their studies are very short in length. 8 weeks is typically the standard length or less. And during that first 8-week time period, one is going through a lot more changes both physiologically in terms of induction flu and psychologically in terms of not just simply the removal of some serotonin levels. Your body you are losing all your comfort foods, your anchors or your ties into the routine. So you've lost, not only have you lost the foods that you're regularly eating, you perhaps have lost some of your routine as well on what you've done each day. So have I experienced that sort of anger? Certainly. And during the induction flu cycle, I mentioned it in my video that my wife saw me as irritated. I had some of that Atkins depression or Atkins anxiousness, in which every meal was a chore. I go to the fridge, just look in, and just couldn't find anything I would like. However, that does go away. It is a temporary feeling, and that's something that they always seem to forget, is that this is a temporary thing. You don't feel like this for the rest of your life. Your feelings of well-being, your positivism, all comes back. In fact, there's other researchers or supporters of the diet, such as Johnny Bowden, point to a study within the September issue of the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition that researchers from Australia decided to investigate low-fat diets and low-carb diets and how they affected one's diets and moods. And on both diets, did the mental acuity or the speed of cognitive processing go up in the diet. They also saw, not surprisingly, that the low-carb followers lost the most amount of weight, but that the mood of both people also increased. And there was another study that was in the Journal of Biological Psychiatry that pointed that the ketogenic diet may indeed have some antidepressant qualities. They noticed that in the rats that were fed the ketogenic diet, that they were immobile less and exhibited the same behavior as those rats within the antidepressant, or rats on antidepressants, and featured less behavioral despair than the rats on the low-fat diet. There was another issue or another article in the Nature issue of 2007 that pointed that in examining both the low-fat and the low-carb diet, that the benefits of the low-carb diet showed some greater benefits in terms of physical health and mobility and improved moods than could be just attributed to the weight loss simply alone. And I think when you bring this back to the anecdotal evidence that you've seen within the low-carb forums, that the hope that comes from the low-carb diet, in which the weight loss is indeed possible. I have more energy than I've ever had before. I feel better than I ever have before. I'm actually getting out there and in the world, that you can kind of see both from the study side and the anecdotal side that the whole I'm a low-carb emotional zombie, I have no feelings, or the Atkins anger just doesn't seem to be there. It may be there initially, but it doesn't seem to be there. And again, going back to the brain needs glucose or the brain needs carbs for fuel. Let me just remind you, Atkins diet is not a no-carb diet. There are certainly carbs within the diet, and whatever carbs the body is not ingesting, it can produce for itself through gluconeogenesis. It can make those carbs out of the protein that you are indeed intaking. So I hope this helps prove that the mental acuity isn't still indeed there on the Atkins diet, although I may not always be the key indicator of mental acumen. I hope I can help encourage you to start the diet. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment section below and check out the links in the video notes section. Thank you.